views and opinions of such opinion, process, service, item, or organization.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another Ariva Academy free live webinar, and we have a really interesting topic this afternoon: how to conduct effective root cause analysis, identify, solve, and prevent issues. I'm Kate, and I'll be your host this afternoon. I'm very excited because we are really going to learn a lot from our speaker. Now, before we get to know our speaker, I again have a few reminders to make sure that the webinar will be running smoothly this afternoon. First, Ariva is committed to protecting your privacy. As such, stricter webinar security has been implemented. So for better viewing on Zoom, we encourage you to update your Zoom application by visiting their website. And just in case you're using your mobile gadgets right now to be able to join us, you can go to either the Google Play Store or the Apple Store so you can download and install the Zoom app. Now, I want to know, do we have participants who's watching us from the provinces? Or if you're here in Metro Manila, where are you located? Let us know here in the chat box. Would love to know where our participants are from, because I was informed that we really have a lot of participants who are in the provinces right now. So I would really like to acknowledge them. Our friends who are in Laguna, who are in Batangas, in Zamboanga, in Bataan, Olongapo, in Subic, in Cabanatuan. We have friends who are in Pangasinan right now, also coming from Tagupan City, from Baguio City, from La Union, from Nueva Vizcaya. We have from Vigan, from Ilocos Norte, from Albay, from Legazpi. We have friends who are in Leyte. Hello, from Tacloban, from Iloilo, from Cebu, from Misamis Oriental, from Cagayan de Oro, from Iligan, from Agusan del Norte, from Surigao del Sur, from North Cotabato, from Sultan Kudarat, from General Santos, from Taguig, from Isabela, from Bukidnon. I'm seeing here Makati, from Riverbanks, from San Juan, from Misamis Occidental, Gingoog City, from Makati, as well as Valenzuela, from Davao City, to Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, well represented. And to our participants who are in Mindanao, especially those who are affected by the earthquake, please know that you are in our thoughts and in our prayers. Please keep safe there. Okay, so this next part is really important because I want to make sure that you will be hearing the speaker loud and clear. So can you type 111 in the chat box if you can hear me clearly? You can also type 222 if you can't hear anything. Or you can type 2121 if you can hear me but the sound is breaking up or I am laggy. Type question mark if you don't understand what's happening so we can try to help you out. Let me see. I'm seeing a lot of 111s in the chat box. Thank you so much for that. Later, we'll have a 10-minute break and I will be announcing something exciting during that break time, so watch out for that. But in the meantime, I would like to invite everyone to check out our Facebook page and also to subscribe as well. Here's the QR code so that you can subscribe to our Facebook page. If you are a subscriber, you will have access to our free live webinars instantly, okay? Kasi mabilis mapuno ang ating Zoom room. But we are being live streamed here in Facebook. So to our friends who are in Facebook, hello there. To our live stream viewers, hello, good afternoon. So again, scan the QR code so that you can subscribe to our Facebook page. Next, you can also check out our YouTube channel that is Ariva Academy Philippines Incorporated. Do check that out and be able to watch our free live webinars there as well. And this one is really important. Let me invite everyone to scan also the QR code that I am showing. This one is for the Ariva Academy Viber community. The exciting announcement that I will make during our break time will involve our Viber community. So here's a bigger QR code that you can scan right now. Kailangan talaga you are a part of the Viber community so you can join that exciting activity that we will be doing during our break time. So I hope everyone's able to scan this already. Now, participants' microphones will be temporarily disabled by our administrator during the discussion just to avoid interruptions. But we will have a Q&A portion at the end of our session. So you can type your questions here in the chat box. At the end of our session, I will be reading them. Now, an e-certificate of attendance will be awarded to participants who will successfully complete this masterclass, and it will be available 3 to 5 working days after this session. Just make sure that you give us the complete and correct email address, okay, so that you will really receive your e-certificate. Also, make sure you fill out the feedback form, which we will be posting here in the chat box before we end our session. So there you have it. Now I am ready to introduce our speaker. Our speaker is an experienced corporate executive and management consultant with more than 20 years of experience in the field of strategic and corporate planning, risk management, organizational development, process improvement, and operations excellence. He is a certified management consultant under the Institute of Certified Management Consultants of the Philippines, a master project manager under the American Academy of Project Management, and a Six Sigma Black Belt and a certified training professional. So ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our speaker, Mr. Michael Sibayan.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you very much for that very wonderful introduction. Maybe if I can just share my screen now. Okay, if you can see my screen, type 111 in your chat box for everybody here right now. Good, thank you very much. And I hope you can hear me loud and clear. Of course, before anything else, I'd like to thank Ariva Academy for inviting me in this afternoon's webinar. So that our topic is about a root cause analysis. Now, so me coming from my background as an industrial engineer, as a Six Sigma Black Belt, and as a management consultant focusing on strategic management, risk management, and even operational excellence, root cause analysis is a very common, I would say, process. It's also a very common competency for people like me whose goal is really to look into the different problems of organizations and trying to address and apply the right solutions. And root cause analysis is one of those practices that each and everyone should have, not only me as a consultant, but also you as a professional, because everybody in the organization is a problem solver. Right? So it's very important that you as a problem solver in the organization, you should be able to apply these concepts. So the root cause analysis, actually, just to give you a background, forms part of the overall problem-solving methodology. right? So if depends if you will follow Six Sigma, it falls within the analyze phase. If you follow the systems thinking and even the IE principles, it falls in the middle of the whole process where in which you'll be tasked to really look for the root cause of the problem before you even concluding a certain solution. So why is it important to know that? So as we go along our training right now, our main objective is really to orient you with this overall concept of root cause analysis. There's really a lot of tools involved here. It really depends on how you want to approach it. You want it more on a statistical nature, where in which you will definitely use statistics, metrics, numbers in order to dig deeper in terms of the current situation of the business, or you can just simply use the very basic principles of the five whys and the fishbone diagram, which I'll be sharing to everybody. Once you have that in your mindset and in your day-to-day rigor when it comes to root cause analysis, definitely you'll go a long way when it comes to this discipline. So our objective here, of course, at the end of the session, even though we only have, I would say, 1 hour or 1.5 hours to discuss this topic, at least you can carry with you the main concept of root cause analysis. Why do you need to do it? Why is it very important in problem solving? Why is it important for you as a professional to apply this in your day-to-day operations? Because every day is a problem solving day, to be honest, right? So if you have any activities that you're doing, any initiatives, any projects that you're given, it's all about solving a particular problem in the workplace. And you really need to apply this so that it will be run automatically. No? It will run automatically when it comes to identifying the right solutions. So we'll be having around 5 topics. So I'll try to compress this as much as possible and make sure that you still have a lot of learnings at the end of the 1 hour session that we'll be having right now. So we'll start off, of course, with problem identification and root cause analysis. We cannot get away from discussing problems in the workplace, because that's a starting point that will trigger you to move on to root cause analysis. I want to differentiate the concept of a problem, a symptom, and also root causes. We'll be discussing 2 root cause analysis tools, the fishbone diagram and the 5 whys, which complements each other as you start your root cause analysis. We also want to go deeper in terms of data-driven investigation and also critical thinking, how we can break down and data in such a way that it will guide you to the right, I would say, right path when it comes to root cause analysis. And of course, I just want to share with you a couple of concepts when it comes to corrective and preventative action planning. Okay, so are we all ready? Can you type "I'm ready" in the chat box if you're ready to learn this afternoon? I'm ready. Thank you, Dave. There you go. So I see there's a lot of I was quite surprised seeing 500 participants now coming from different areas in the Philippines. So I'm very happy to have this moment with you all in order to share my knowledge, my experience, and expertise in this topic. So let's do a quick activity for better appreciation, for you to know where are we starting from when it comes to our discussion. I'm sure everybody can relate when it comes to e-commerce, no? So lahat tayo, all of us, I'm sure, have encountered, ordering in TikTok Shop, in Lazada, or any other platforms available in the market. Just imagine, what if you have an e-commerce company and you're experiencing high volume of returns and customer complaints related to the wrong products delivered, right? Orders are being returned and reprocessed. Customers are giving poor ratings and negative feedbacks. Service levels agreement are being missed already, right? If you're asked to fix this immediately, what action would you take? Right? Can you type in your chat box? What will you do immediately if you're given this order of business? Hey, we're having high customer complaints and high volume of returns. Do something about it. What will you do? Can I see some answers in the chat box? What will you do, right? Know the problem, investigate the causes, quality control. Some are saying investigate the cause of the high return, check the process, right? So state kagad, no? Process kagad siya. What's causing the issue, conduct RCA. So I think you know where we're coming from, right? Since our topic is root cause analysis. But believe it or not, many companies that I've consulted, people tend to be very reactive, right, to certain situations or to certain problems, to a point that they just want to pacify the customers immediately, because they want to avoid that. No? for customers to continuously bash, give poor ratings. So what do? Right? They give something in return, like maybe a free product in return of the bad service. Maybe service recovery would also include a voucher, right? But those are all just simply suppressing the feeling of the customers of the moment. That's why many companies such as this, after 1 month, complaints are still coming in. Cases of wrong and damaged shipments are still being reported, and even low orders are now being experienced. Staff morale, of course, will also be affected with this type of situation. So why didn't this solution work? And I'm sure in your mind, you have it right, because they fail to address the real root cause behind the issue. Right? And we have experienced a lot of this regardless of the business, right? If ever there's a problem, we're trying to solve immediately the problem. We're trying to put a solution immediately on what we are experiencing, on what we are feeling, right? And this is nothing different in terms of approach when we talk about root cause analysis. It's nothing different from doctors. That's why for us consultants, sometimes we're called business doctors, because our activity follows the same routine as a doctor, right? You don't see a doctor asking for how do you feel, what are the things that you're feeling right now, and then gives you a medicine immediately. Normally, he will ask for tests. He will ask for x-rays, he will ask for blood tests, etc., for him to analyze first and see where the problem is coming from. It's the same thing when we talk about root cause analysis. We will act as business doctors in our organization. Having that practice and having that activity in which before we make even the slightest decision or solution to a problem that's being encountered, we need to dig deeper on what is really causing it, right? So in e-commerce business, any unresolved issue, and same thing with all other businesses, every unresolved root cause becomes continuous poor rating, negative feedbacks, even no endorsement and referrals and low sales. Even though you're not in the e-commerce business, I'm sure you will have the same effect, right? I've worked with a lot of companies. When I start working with them, their usual complaint to me is that, Mike, we've been doing a lot of, brainstorming, solutions implementation, but after 3 months, after 6 months, we're meeting about or talking about the same problem again, right? And there's really nothing wrong with that. That's normal. That's very common in the business setting. That is why there's this move for continuous improvement and an operational excellence mindset, so that we can get out of that kind of mentality and activity. So when it comes to root cause analysis, there are I would say three words or three things that normally comes together: the symptom, the problem, and the root cause, right? So how do we differentiate these three things, right? So in this image that you're seeing right now, this is an iceberg. Just imagine this is an iceberg. Normally, what you normally feel and see is the problem and also the symptom, right? Like, for example, you have errors, delays, you have complaints, you have non-compliance, right? Even the machine breakdown. That's normally what we normally see on our day-to-day activities in the workplace. What we don't normally see are the root causes. These are the hidden systematic drivers that you definitely need to unearth in order for that problem and that symptom to eventually disappear, if you want it to disappear. So by definition, we talk about symptoms. Symptoms are the visible surface, the things you notice, you measure, you complain about. The problem sits at the waterline, right? If you look at this image, it sits at the waterline. It's the event or situation you can name and observe, right? While the root cause are what live below the surface, either a systematic, structural, or even behavioral drivers that allow the problems to occur. So all of these three things are interconnected. But if you look underneath on the root cause, once you remove the root cause, eventually the iceberg on top will eventually go down underwater and will not be visible anymore. Okay. So when it comes to problems and symptoms, again, as mentioned, symptoms is what is seen or felt, usually visible, while problem statement describe the gap. So there are cases that you feel something, you see something, unless you really define what the gap is, then that's the only time you can say that there is a problem, right? This one focus on process performance. So simple example. If somebody will tell you that uh, your food is not delicious, right? So normally that's seen or felt, right? But unless the person will tell you, why do you say it's not delicious? What is your benchmark, right? What is the gap from what is expected to what you are experiencing right now? Definitely, it's still not a valid problem to start with. So that's why problem statements are normally factual and measurable, while symptoms is seen or felt. So you just need to validate first the symptom before you conclude that there is a problem. And once you conclude there's a problem, that's the only time that you can proceed eventually to identifying the root cause of the problem at hand. Right? So a problem really is a gap between expected and actual performance. So once we define the problem, then problem solving would come in as a next progression leading towards a solution. One thing that we normally do, especially in Six Sigma, step one is defining the problem. If you yourself cannot define the problem and eventually measure it, there's no point in proceeding to any root cause analysis or solutions generation. Problems, take note, affects quality, cost, delivery, safety, or customer satisfaction. It's not the same as a complaint or an incident. Okay? Unless, again, it's defined that there is a standard and there is something that we failed to do. Right? So always looking at it. Right? Same thing with symptoms versus root of the problem. Both are defined on two different sides of the iceberg. Okay? Take note, a problem is always measurable and observable. Right? It is not a problem if you receive complaints without data. Right? I experienced a lot of that, especially when I was still in the corporate world. You will hear a lot of complaints, but you ask how many are complaining? No one can tell you how many, right? I have this case before that somebody is complaining about a certain employee activity, right? I do believe it was a Christmas party during that time. Somebody was complaining that the food was not good, etc., right? But when I dig deeper and ask who's complaining, so out of the 500 employees that we have, how many are complaining for it to be a valid complaint? Then when we dig deeper, it's only one person. Right? So it's one person versus 499 who has no problem. So technically, it's not a problem to start with. Right? So also, if it's an isolated incident, it's not really a problem that is organizational wide. It's if an isolated incident, it's something that you will address on that particular situation only. Also, if there are opinions or assumptions, right, no valid basis, right? So you're just assuming that people don't like it, people don't like your service, people don't like your product, then definitely that's not a problem. When people say customers are unhappy, right, we need to validate that first, right? So once everything is there, once all the problems are validated, then it's easy for you to move forward in root cause analysis. So why do we need to do problem identification, eventually problem solving, right? So it helps us identify the real problem, right? It establishes a common understanding before the analysis. It prevents jumping to solutions too early. And also, take note, a poorly defined problem guarantees a poor solution. So before you even go to root cause analysis, make sure your problem is properly defined. Take note on bullet point number 3, prevent jumping to solutions too early. I always have this problem, especially when I do mentoring, right, with even with the green belts, yellow belts, and even for companies, for managers. Every time we identify a problem, the problem statement already mentions the solution, right, without even digging deeper. And I'm sure most of you will be guilty of that. That if I ask you, so what's the problem here? Why is this happening? The answer is normally a solution already, right? Because we lack this, because we lack that, because we fail to do this, because we fail to do that. Those are all solutions already. We need to dig deeper on why that process is not being followed and why do we fail to deliver those things. That is the better way to address the problem. So as mentioned, before you even go to root cause analysis, make sure you identify the right problem statement in the current situation. But what are the gaps normally that you encounter in problem statements? When problem statements are not aligned with the objectives and even the metrics, right? Sometimes you fail to demonstrate the clear benefits, right? So check first your metrics. Do you have the right metrics? Are you measuring things the right way? Because sometimes, if the metrics are poorly defined, then definitely sometimes you feel that there's a problem, but actually there's none. I have this case before in when I was still working in a call center. The client was complaining that their average handle time is way above than what was agreed upon in the service level agreement. So what we did is that we dig deeper before we even conclude that there's really a problem in place. We check on the formula. How do you compute for the average handle time? So we noticed that the formula in the contract is different from the formula of the workforce management team that they're using. So when we align those two metrics, we saw that there's really no problem to start with. There was a wrong computation. Right? So sometimes it starts from there. Also, problems poorly defined and not quantifiable. And that's something you always want to avoid in any problems. Also, measured problems that's not linked to the voice of the customers. This is very important because everything that we're doing in our job and also our company or organization in general is all about addressing the needs of our customers. Maybe you're providing service or you're providing products. It's really the customer that we're trying to please. For us to know if what we're doing is effective, definitely the customer should always be happy and delighted. Right? If it's not linked to what the customer wants from us, then it's another question from our end. Why are we considering this as a problem if even the customers doesn't care about it? Also, another gap in problem statement if it's not quantified. If it's based on anecdotal information only, then definitely that is something that we will not consider. Measurement method also not validated, right? I'm sure there are some companies, if you're with, especially in manufacturing companies, that you're quite strict when it comes to the measurement. So if your measurement are not properly calibrated, or maybe you're not using the right measurement tool, then definitely you cannot conclude that there's already a problem, right? Unless you fix your measurement method. So that is very important. So also, if your problem statement is stated as a predetermined solution already, like I mentioned a while ago, instead of a problem, you're trying to miss the true root cause of the problem, right? If you're already have a predetermined solution. Couple of examples. If you say that, how come my employee is not performing well, right? Maybe the problem you're going to say is that we have no training program for the employees. That's the problem. But technically, it's a predetermined solution, right? If you have training for your employees, will that actually erase the problem already? So that's something we want to avoid. So the problem statement should ensure that one, it's quantifiable. Number two, it's not anecdotal. And number three, it should not reflect a predetermined solution for it to be valid. Right? Once you have that in place, once you have a smart problem statement in place, no causes, no solutions, just facts only, definitely you're in the right direction in starting off your root cause analysis activities. Okay? I hope that everybody is clear on that because it's very important. It's all about identifying the problem before you even go to problem solving. Okay? By the way, if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat box and then we will compile everything. We'll answer all of your questions. May be specific on the slides or if you want to validate certain applications in your respective work or in your workplace. Okay. So just a recap, definitely before you even go to root cause analysis, define the right problem. Confirm if there's really a problem in the workplace or even in your personal life. Then once you establish the problem, next step is to identify the root cause. What is causing this problem? Because similar to what we shared in the iceberg, the problem actually is technically just a symptom, right? It is related to the symptom, right? What you're feeling, what you're seeing, right? And it's not yet the main problem. The main problem here is really the real root cause of the issue that you're trying to solve. The real root cause, I would say, is the real problem that you need to put a solution into, right? So this is where root cause analysis is very relevant. So what is root cause analysis? Root cause analysis is a structured problem-solving method. Take note of the keyword, it's structured, right? So you need to follow a certain methodology or a certain pathway in order for you to be led to the real root cause of the problem, right? Instead of just simply depending on what you're feeling when it comes to the symptom and also the problem. We have to go deeper into the situation. So what root cause analysis typically involves? First one, as mentioned, you need to start with clearly defining the problem. And after that, you need to collect data, evidence of what happened. You need to confirm if this problem really exists in your workplace. Then you identify contributing factors. What are the different factors or activities or even input that's actually translating to that problem that you just identified. Then you trace those factors back to the root causes and then develop corrective and preventive actions to eliminate recurrence. So this is the 5-step activity when it comes to doing your root cause analysis. So take note of that. Define the problem, collect data to validate the problem, identify contributing factors, and trace those factors back to the root causes. And then you develop and prevent actions to eliminate recurrence. So the question is right now, so how can I do this? It's quite a vague instruction. This is where the structured methodology would come into the picture to help you out, especially in identifying contributing factors, which is your main activity in really drilling down on the root cause of the problem. The key mindset shift actually is really moving your mindset to who is to blame, to what is in the system is allowed to happen. Okay. So in root cause analysis, we're now looking at not the person involved with the problem, but what is in the system that allowed this to happen. This is where the concept of the 85-15 rule is very relevant. And I always use this when I conduct operational excellence and problem-solving training, right? So what is the 85-15 rule? This actually came from Dr. Edward Deming. He said that 85% of the trouble, errors, and defects in the work environment stems from the system in which the people work, and only 50% is due to the carelessness, negligence, or employee deficiencies. So what are we saying here? That when we do our root cause analysis, you need to focus more on the process. Yes, there are some failures on the people side, but majority of the problem normally comes, or 85% of the time, normally comes from the problem, or normally comes from the system or the process. So how is this very important in terms of the mindset that we need to have when it comes to root cause analysis? Take note, root cause analysis is not just limited to the problems in the workplace or problems in the process. It's also related even to performance management. When you do performance management or performance appraisal, normally you identify certain problems with your staff, right? And when you do that, you still follow that same 5-step process in which before you even come up with action plans or coaching tips, you need to look for the root cause of the problem. And normally root cause comes from the system, right? And that is why with the 85-15 rule, we have to get out of the mindset where in which if there's a problem in the workplace, the first thing that we need to do is to blame a person. Why is this happening? Diba? Normally, yun sinasabi natin, anong ginawa mo? Bakit mo ginagawa ito? Right? Without even asking what happened. Where in the process did we fail? Right? So that's a different shift already when it comes to the thought process, when it comes to the root cause of the problem. Right? Focusing more on the process, focusing more on the system. Right? So later on, when we go on even to the fishbone analysis, you get to see only a small percentage pertains to man, and majority revolves around the systems and the procedures. So this is very important, very relevant as you practice your root cause analysis competency, right? Always focus on the system, always focus on the process first before you even go to the people. So this one also applies, just another application I'm thinking right now. When I consult companies in the workplace, sometimes they say, "Oh, Mike, we're overloaded. There's too many work involved. That's why the solution normally comes from the mouth of department heads that I need additional headcount." Diba? Automatic yun. Pag sobrang dami ng trabaho, dagdag tao, right? But again, if you follow the 85-15 rule, before you even think of adding one more person, you go back now to the process. Is there any problem in the process that actually, holding me back in delivering the productivity number that I'm trying to target? So that is also, a shift right now when it comes to even to management. So how do we identify a focus area of improvement, right? So as mentioned, we start off with the 85%, looking at the process and what are the related things that actually we can look at that actually translates to the problem that we identified. So here is how we approach it in root cause analysis. We call this the funnel effect, right? So the funnel approach in root cause analysis. Normally, when you start brainstorming, you get to identify a lot of possibilities, right? A lot of possibilities where in which the problem actually, how the problem occurred, right? So maybe when you do your brainstorming activities, some people say, because of this. The other person will say, I think it's because of this. So there's a lot of possibilities where the problem came from, right? So what we're going to do when it comes to root cause analysis is to funnel down all of those potential root causes to maybe around 3 to 6 or even one true root cause of the problem. That once you fix it, it will significantly impact or solve the problem and even eliminate the symptom that you're experiencing. So it's really now a funnel approach from all causes down to what we call the critical X or the critical factors that affects your problem. So one of the first step, normally, when we do root cause analysis is what we call stratification. So what do you mean by stratification? Stratification is a data analysis technique that separates data into distinct groups. So if you have a problem at hand, always remember that a problem may have stemmed from different areas of your organization. When you talk about areas, it can be a specific time, a specific location, maybe a specific machine if you're having different machines, maybe different shifts or customer types, right? So when you do certification, you tend to focus on one specific characteristics of your business or one specific or distinct group in your business that can be a potential source of that problem, right? It's like simply saying that, we have problem with there's a lot of complaints coming from the employees, example, right? So when you talk about employees, you might want to ask which group of my employees: the new hires, the regular employees, the project base, the contractuals, or maybe the tenured, right? Or may it be the different employees per different departments. So you need to identify where that problem is coming from. That is stratification, right? So the purpose here is to understand where the variation or the problem is coming from in order for us to isolate those factors that contributes to the problem and support the focused problem solving rather than addressing the whole organization on its entirety. So sometimes the problem only resides in maybe in one department. So there is really no need to implement a solution company-wide, right? That's the main idea of stratification. So here's a clear example or a tool that you can use when you do your certification. We call this a CTQ drill down tree, right? So this is how you brainstorm with the group on how you can break down the data or the problem at hand to different segments or groups. Let's say, for example, your focus is country sales, right? You are not hitting your sales target. And you know that you can break down that country sales into different regions because you are present in maybe three different regions in the Philippines. And in every region, you have specific areas, right? That is handled maybe by an area manager. So with this type of a breakdown, right? With this type of a breakdown, you get to see when you distribute the numbers, you get to see which among the regions, which among the area, right, that actually contributes to the problem at hand. So that's the first level root cause analysis that you can do, right? You'll never know that with your low sales, right? So maybe region 1 has high sales, region 3 also have high sales, but you get to see that region 2 also have high sales, but area 2.1 is quite low compared to area 1.3 that's quite high, and this one as well. So with this at hand, right, you get to see that maybe this is my focus area. If I improve this, eventually this will improve. That will translate to a certain percentage improvement in my country sales. Okay, so that is one approach when you do your root cause analysis, right? You try to focus on one area, and once you focus on this area, then this is the time that you drill deeper in identifying why is area 2.1 not performing as well as the other areas in my business. Okay? So that's stratification. So a couple of exercises that we can do here. For example, in your business, you can stratify the data, right? Can you stratify the data in the following? So maybe you can just post it in the chat box. So if you have a very low customer satisfaction survey, for example, that is your problem. Can you give an example on how you can stratify this survey further in order for you to identify what focus area you need to look into when you start your root cause analysis? Can you type it in your chat box following the example that I did a while ago? What type of groupings can you do to break down the customer satisfaction survey? Okay. Maybe one example is normally customer satisfaction surveys is maybe an average of maybe 10 questions. So you can break down your satisfaction survey looking at those 10 questions and which among those 10 questions have the lowest, right? Have the lowest scoring, right? So CA Pedresa mentioned cost, logistics, and quality, right? So delivery, quality, and service. So if sometimes your customer satisfaction survey is broken down into three parts, maybe delivery, quality, and service. So once you see that you have good satisfaction survey in delivery and also in quality, but service is quite bad, then that's where you get to focus on, right? Age of the customer, right? Bernadette mentioned age of the customer, which is also can be a good certification, right? Sometimes customers with different age range may have different taste, right? Different preference in terms of our product and services, right? What else? Angelita mentioned pre-sales, sales, and after sales, right? So this is where she broke down the customer satisfaction survey based on the different phases of our service: pre-sales, during sales, and after sales. Sometimes customers are happy on pre-sales, customers are happy on the actual sale, but they're not happy in the post-sale. That's also a good breakdown, right? What else, right? Service preference, right? So we need a different groupings. How to break down those survey. Okay, good. Thank you very much for all of those answers. What if, for example, your problem is employee attrition? For you to drill deeper, right, before you do your root cause analysis, you want to know where this employee attrition is coming from. How do you break it down into groups? Can you give some suggestions in the chat box? How do you break down employee attrition in terms of data, right? So if your big Y is employee attrition, how you can break it down further? Right? One is comp and ben. Okay, maybe the what we offer to the employees. Age, yep, age can be one, right? You want to see if I have a client recently that they were mentioning most of their attrition are coming from the new hires, right? The new hires, especially the fresh grads. So you can break down the attrition into maybe in terms of tenure or maybe in terms of age, right? So you get to see the pattern, right? Where the attrition is coming from. Tenure is one. What else? Department or division that they belong to, that's also a good groupings or stratification. You get to see which among the different departments has the biggest attrition. I remember one case when I was still with one of my clients. When we did this activity, we identified that most of the attrition are coming from one department, right? So you cannot just simply put an employee attrition intervention program for the whole company if the only problem is one department, right? Good. Thank you very much for sharing that. Somebody answered better compensation. Again, you're now jumping to solutions. right? We're now only looking at breaking down the data or the problem to something manageable, right? So again, don't jump to conclusions yet, right? So somebody mentioned or Jet mentioned by shift or by work schedule. Looks like you came from the call center or the BPO. Normally we break it also in those cases. Sometimes those who are in the night shift, right? They have the higher attrition rate compared to the mid shift and the morning shift, right? So once you identify that, then you can segment it further or stratify it further in terms of the shift, maybe by teams who are involved in that particular shift. So you can break it down further in the third level, or maybe you can break it down further on the fourth level as well. What about operating expense? If I were to ask you, you have problems with the high operating expense. How do you group this? How do you break it down into different groups for you to see a different picture, right? How about operating expense? Can you do a quick thought on that? Right. So I'll see some answers. Inflation. Okay. Again, we're breaking it down. Okay. You're looking at monthly, daily, right? The problem with monthly, daily is that the daily figures is part of the monthly. So we have to break it down more. Labor cost is one. So maybe the type of operating expense, you want to break down expenses in terms of labor cost or indirect cost, direct cost, and variable cost, right? What else? Maybe CapEx, right? So we can also base it on raw materials. Again, it really depends. You have to go with your finance team and ask, right? Can I break it down into different expense items? Or again, similar to attrition, you can break it down per department. Which department has the biggest, right? Has the biggest expenses, right? Sometimes you get to see it coming from marketing or coming from customer service, etc. So that's where you can start off your focus area, right? So that's step one in root cause analysis, stratification. You don't conclude immediately that the problem that you identified is organization wide, right? You want to see it broken down into smaller chunks so that you can identify which focus area do I need to address. And once I address that, it will have a significant effect on the problem that is raised on an organizational level. Okay. So it's very important now that as we move forward in root cause analysis, right? Once we identify a certain group or certain area that we need to focus on, it will help us identify the underlying cause of the problem now. It will also help us in terms of preventing the recurrence of the same problem. It enables permanent and effective solutions, right? It will also give a higher level of customer satisfaction. And take note, it will shift now our focus from blaming people to improving processes. You can see, take note on step one, you're not looking at people, right? When you do your stratification, you're looking at how we group the different processes in different areas in the business. So that's our starting point. You don't identify a person or group of persons to blame given your problem, right? So that's why it's called a CTQ drill down tree. You focus first on different quality parameters. Okay. So I do believe we need to go on the do we need to go on the break at 2:45 or 3 o'clock, right? I think it's 2:45. But anyway, so it's 2:44. Should we take a quick break? I think I'll go to the host right now before I go deeper in the RCA tools. Yes. Okay. There you go. That's my thumbs up. Okay.
Thank you so much, Sir Mike. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. So, yes, we are now going on a break. And a while ago, I mentioned that we are doing something exciting. So, right now, please get your gadgets and scan the QR code that you are seeing on your screen. That will bring you to our Viber community. I am really encouraging everyone, all of our participants, not just in Zoom, but also those who are watching via the live stream, to scan the QR code. Make sure you are a part of our Viber community so that you can join our activity. This is a very exciting game. So yes, once you are inside our Viber community, please do this. Look for our Viber community admin, RV Ariva. So do that right now if you're inside Viber. look for RV Ariva. There you go. So I hope everyone found RV Ariva because that is where you will be sending the answers. Okay, so I will be asking for a specific answer. You have to send it to RV Ariva. Yes, you will not be able to chat in Viber, chat in the group. Just send it privately to our Viber community admin, RV Ariva. And we are looking for 2 winners this afternoon. Each winner will be receiving 200 pesos and that will be sent straight to your GCash account. So, wherever you are here in the Philippines, nasa Luzon, nasa Visayas, nasa Mindanao ka man, you will be receiving that if you are our winner. So there you go. The game is called... Yes, it is called Guess the Movie. And this is how the game goes. We are going to show you short clips or short trailers of some movies. And this is what you have to do. Again, look for RV Ariva. Send the complete title of the movie that you have seen to RV Ariva. The first one who will be sending the complete answer, the correct answer, will be declared the winner. Okay, so I hope everyone is ready. But for all of us to be on the same page, let's just do a trial run first, okay? Let's try to guess the title of this movie even though wala pa siyang prize. Let's watch this. There you go. Okay, trying to catch the answers. You're seeing the answers as they are coming in real time. So this is what I'm trying to read right now. Fast and Furious 3, Fast 9, Fast and Furious 10, Fats and Furious. Okay, I'm really just reading it as it comes in, okay? There's Fast and Furious, there's Fats and Furious, the Fast and the Furious. Fast and the Furious 6, Fast and the Furious 10, Fast and Furious 7, Fast 5. Too Fast, Too Furious. So those are the answers that I am seeing. Fast X. Fast and Furious 6. Fast X, Fast and Furious 5, the Fast and Furious 7. There are also several different spellings of Furious here. Let's reveal. What is the title of that movie? It is Fast X. So a lot of you actually got it right. Okay, so now again, let me just remind everyone that we are really looking for the complete and correct answer. Okay? Kailangan talaga exacto. Even the spelling should be correct. There should be no missing words. There should be no extra words as well. Exact title. So, everyone, this next clip is worth 200 pesos. Let's watch it.
For something important. I waited a long time for this team up.
Scott used to beg me to wear this suit. So did Doran and Beast. But I couldn't have him thinking I wanted to be there. And it was too late.
It's only 9 people, but my entire world is right here in this picture. And I have no idea how to save it alone, but you know how to save them.
Are you ready? Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, I am trying to catch up with the answers that you're sending. Medyo mabilis talaga ang nasa chat box right now. So let me try to catch them. We have Deadpool and Wolverine. We have Deadpool. Okay, there's Deadpool and Wolverine. Deadpool versus Wolverine. There is Deadpool. There is Deadpool 3. Deadpool 2. Deadpool, Ant-Man and Wolverine also. Other answers, let me just check Deadpool and Wolverine. Deadpool 2. Doomsday, Deadpool and Wolverine. Deadpool 3. So those are the answers that I am seeing. But let's reveal what is the correct title of that movie. It is Deadpool and Wolverine. And a lot of you really got the answer correctly. But isa sa inyo, sobrang bilis niyang nabigay agad yung answer. It was just the first few seconds and this person already typed the answer. So he really is our winner. So congratulations to Joshua. Joshua, congratulations. You have won yourself 200 pesos. Joshua, this is what you have to do, okay? Send your GCash number and GCash account name to RV Ariva again. Okay, kay RV Ariva again. Wait for your prize. We will be sending it to you in a little while. Now, Joshua, because you have won already, you will not be able to join the game anymore so that we can give chance to your other co-participants. Congratulations again, and to the rest, I have one more 200 pesos to give away this afternoon. Let's watch this next clip.
I've been fighting my whole life. It's not a choice for me.
There you go. You are again seeing the answers as they are coming in right now. So let me try to read the answers that you are sending. We have, try to scroll back, scroll down. Okay, I am seeing Creed, the accountant as well. Creed 2, Crib, Rocky, The Creed. Okay, Creed 2, Creed 3 as well. Okay, and other answers, Creed 3, Wolverine, parang medyo naligaw pa siya. Rambo's Fist, Creed 2, Creed 3, One Piece. So those are Rocky versus Dixon. Rocky 4, Rocky 5. Okay, so those are the answers that I am seeing. Let's reveal the title of that movie. And yes, it is Creed. So ang galing kasi a lot of you, majority actually got it correct. And again, the first one who was able to give us the correct title is our winner, and that is JR. Congratulations, JR. You are our last winner this afternoon. Congratulations. We will be sending your 200 pesos to your GCash account. So again, we will be waiting for your GCash account name and GCash account number. Please send that to RV Ariva again, okay? Congratulations to our two winners and to everyone who joined the game. Thank you so much. I just saw a lot of you were sending your answers not in RV Ariva but here in the chat box. Sayang yung effort because as I've mentioned, I will only be accepting the answers that are sent in Viber. So now I have a few more announcements before I give the floor back to our speaker. First, stay on top of our insights and updates. Stay connected with us on social media. You can join Ariva Academy's Facebook group. You can also like our Facebook page. You can follow us in LinkedIn, and also you can visit our website, ariva.com.ph. Now, again, marami talagang hindi nakapag-send ng answers nila in Viber. Does it mean you were not able to join our Viber community? So let me show this QR code once again. Here it is, so that you can scan and you can still be a part of the Ariva Academy Viber community. We are really looking forward to having everyone there. And here is our Facebook page again. That is Ariva Academy. We have content exclusive for our subscribers. So you might want to check it out. Scan the QR code so that you can be a subscriber and have access to all those exciting contents. As I've mentioned, one of them is this free live webinar, which is always being live streamed in Facebook. So we have a lot of participants who are watching us via our live streams. One is in our Facebook page. That is the Ariva Academy Facebook page, so do check us out there. And okay, right now we have our YouTube channel. I'm also showing this to you. This is the Ariva Academy Philippines Incorporated. Our speaker, Sir Mike, mentioned that we have 500 participants who are watching us here in Zoom. But for today, for our free live webinar, which is also being live streamed in YouTube channel right now, we have 800 plus participants there. this afternoon. So shout out to our participants who are in YouTube, who's watching us in YouTube. Hello, good afternoon to all of you. We're very happy to have you here with us as well. So that YouTube channel, really visit that, because that is also where you can watch all the past free live webinars. Okay, so we have started offering these free live webinars when we were still on lockdown. That was in 2020 during the pandemic. It's now 2026, 6 years after, and we still are offering our free live webinars. So imagine how many free live webinars is inside that Ariva Academy Philippines Incorporated YouTube channel. It is a gold mine of knowledge. So really check it out and get to learn with us, learn from Ariva Academy. Now, okay, to all of our participants, whether you are watching us via the live stream or here in Zoom, I have 2 QR codes here. The first one is for the Facebook review, and the next one is for the Google review. Please help us spread the news about Ariva Academy, especially about the free live webinars. So you can give us a review in Facebook and in Google, and that will really help us reach out to more people. So thank you in advance for giving us a review. We are going to show you these QR codes for a few more moments so that you can scan them. If I'm not mistaken, we are also going to post that here in the chat box. So again, thank you so much in advance for the reviews that you will be leaving for Ariva Academy. Now, if ever you are interested in inviting a speaker to conduct a program exclusive for your team or for your whole company, we can help you out with that. We do in-house trainings. So these are the programs that we offer, but we really have a lot more than that. Now, if ever you need one already, you can give us a call, you can send us an email, just let us know what topic you need so that we can help you partner with the speaker under Ariva Speakers Bureau for that. I also would like to invite you right now for our upcoming learning events. Here are some of them. On June 16, we have Managing Resistance to Change. It's another free live webinar. After that, June 17, Work Ethics, Excellence, and Positive Work Attitude. June 18, Create More Act Compliance Strategies for Businesses. The 14th, Effective Technical and Report Writing Skills for Peak Performance. That will be on June 19. This one is on June 23, Developing Strategic Thinking Skills for Leaders in High-Performing Teams. June 24, Advanced Inventory Planning and Management Strategies. Anti-Money Laundering Act, that's on June 24 as well. And then join us, this is on June 25. We have invited all of these speakers to be with us on June 25 for the Data Privacy Compliance and Cybersecurity Awareness Forum 2026. This one is really timely, so join us, that's on June 25 already. June 26, the following day, join us also for the Results-Driven Sales Accelerator. So these speakers, these 5 speakers will be with us on that day. That's June 26. So for those programs that I've mentioned, if ever you're interested in being a part of any of those learning events, you can go to our website right now, ariva.com.ph, so that you can register as early as now. Okay, I also would like to take this chance, to take this moment to acknowledge our partner, that is Fly Ace Corporation. Fly Ace Corporation distributes a lot of products. You can find them in groceries. One of them is the Daily Fix. I have here with me the Daily Fix Trail Mix. This one is the Pecan and Cashew Crunch. You're seeing on your screen the different variants that they have. They're all available in groceries, in supermarkets near you, so do check them out. This is, again, really healthy if you're craving for something to snack on, something to munch on while you're working, while you're doing something. Grab a bag of Daily Fix. Another product from Fly Ace Corporation is this one. This is a favorite of mine, and that is the Jolly Fresh Cranberry Juice. I'm craving for something to drink now, refreshing and at the same time sweet. I get a glass of Jolly Fresh cranberry juice instead of getting a glass of soda. Hindi naman siya healthy. This one's a healthier option for you. So check this out also in groceries and supermarkets near you. And Fly Ace Corporation, aside from Jolly Fresh, aside from Daily Fix, they have these products. So I am sure na encounter na ninyo ang mga products na to when you do your grocery run. So they have all of these products. You can check them out and let us support them. They are really a partner of Ariva Academy in our learning events. And for you to find out more about Fly Ace and the other products that they offer, that they distribute here in the Philippines, here are their QR codes. You can follow them in Facebook and follow them also in LinkedIn. So scan these QR codes to follow Fly Ace Corporation. And there you have it. Now, I won't be taking much of your time anymore because we still have a lot to discuss this afternoon. Here again is our speaker, Sir Mike.
Thank you very much. Okay, let me just reshare my screen here. Okay, so for those of you who were still here, I do believe everybody's still here now. We're all still 500 in terms of number. Just a quick recap lang of what we've discussed in the past hour. I would say 1 hour na dumaan, ano? So it's all about starting off your journey in root cause analysis. For you to start your root cause analysis, of course, we talk about 3 things: the symptom, the problem, and the root cause. So just to remind you lang, no, the symptom is something that you feel, that you see, something that you normally encounter in the workplace, that somehow you feel that may problema, right? It's like, parang sa tao yan eh. Parang ang sama ng pakiramdam nyo, right? But you still don't know what it is, but you know there's a problem, no? May nararamdaman kayo. Then goes the problem. The problem you mentioned should be something measurable. It is define something that there is a gap between what is expected and what is really happening. So kung masama, for example, kayo, no, masama pakiramdam nyo, and how do you define the problem? Minsan, the doctor will take your blood pressure. So if your blood pressure is high or your temperature maybe is high compared to what is normal, then doon may problema tayo in terms of your blood pressure or may problema tayo in terms of your body temperature. Okay? So doon nag-uumpisa ang focus natin. So we have a problem there. Then we go now to the root cause analysis. What is causing the high blood pressure and what's causing the fever, the high fever, right? So we talk about the first step in terms of root cause analysis. Since in the organization, there's a lot of things now that can be a possible root cause. First step is you do stratification. You try to group the data that you have on hand and see where is it really coming from. So like in my example, in terms of blood pressure, maraming pwedeng panggalingan yan eh. So you have to go deeper. Is it more of a psychological effect? Is it more on your physical body, right? That's why minsan you need another test when it comes to your blood pressure, your heart. You want to pinpoint saan ba talaga, no? When you try to group it, you want to see where should be my focus area in order to address this problem that I'm trying to solve. So once you identify that particular area, then you go now in using these 2 RCA tools to dig deeper into the problem, to the identified focus area where the problem might be coming from. So let's start off with the fishbone diagram. I'm sure most of you alam na natin to, no? We all know what the fishbone diagram is, right? It's sometimes called an Ishikawa diagram, or for better understanding what the fishbone diagram is, it's really a cause and effect diagram. So the effect is the problem that you're encountering. You're trying to look for different possibilities or different causes. No? We use the fishbone approach because in terms of the fishbone, just imagining, no, if you try to eat a fish, matitira lang ang bone tsaka yung head. The head represents a problem or the effect, while the bones, since you have many, tinik and branches, these represent the different categories of potential causes. So fishbone analysis, technically, I would say, is more of a lateral thinking and a brainstorming tool. So instead of sitting down and asking everybody in the room na, ano sa tingin niyo problema? O saan nanggaling ang problema? What do you think is the root cause of the problem? We need to have a more structured and systematic way of really pinpointing the root cause. And this is where the fishbone diagram is very handy. right? So the purpose here is to identify, explore, and display all, right? Take note, all possible causes of the problem. This is not yet the actual solution. Some people think kasi when they do root cause analysis using fishbone diagram, yan na kagad, no? Pipili na lang sila kung anong root cause doon. There's still a validation afterwards. Again, this is focusing more on the potential root cause and using a lateral thinking approach to ensure that we look at all possible areas in the business or in the organization that can be the true source of the problem. So there are actually 6 categories that we can talk about when you do root cause analysis using the fishbone diagram. We call this the 6M, right? Before during college, I would say 4 M's lang ginagamit namin: the man, machine, materials, and the methods. But right now, many people are based on studies na rin, and based on experience, we see that environment or mother nature can also play a role in terms of causing the problem. Same thing with the measurement, like I mentioned kanina. Sometimes yung measurement ang mali, right? If you have the right measurement, you'll never know there's really no problem to start with. So how do we fully define these 6 categories? So I'll guide you through the 6 categories so it's easier for you to do your brainstorming activities. When I do workshop on root cause analysis, particularly using this tool, I still see a lot of people getting confused with these 6 categories. You might find it simple, but sometimes nag-overlap siya or sometimes hindi nila nagigets on what do you want to talk about when you speak about man. So take note, let's start off with man. Man talks about the people, anybody involved in the process, right? So if you identify, let's say, kunyari, logistics, for example, may problem within logistics. So who are the people involved in logistics? Mayroon ba tayong operators doon? Even the supervisors, hindi sila exempted, no? Some people, when they do their brainstorming here, ang iniisip lang nila yung actual operator or somebody who's really involved there. But sometimes even the supervisors and the leaders has an influence on the output of the operators. So we have to consider that. Sometimes stricto ba sila? Masyado pa silang micromanager? Does it affect the output of the person? So we want to look into that. Also, even support staff. Anybody that provides input to the process. May it be a simple information, a report. So anything that influences the process. Right? This covers human behavior, decisions, interactions, and even characteristic of the person. So you want to go deeper. Ano ba yung course niya nung college, di ba? For example, he's in charge of legal and compliance. Pero ang background niya, engineering. Right? Right? That's talking about the person. You'll never know. Doon ang gagaling yung root cause. Right? Misunderstanding of the processes given his or her background. So that's people. No? So in fishbone analysis, you start off with one box first. So you talk about man. Man lang. Walang mag-mention about machine, materials, and all other categories. Just focus on the man. Have a lateral thinking approach, thinking about who are the people involved, what are their characteristics, what is their behavior. You'll never know, even their tenure matters as well, and how they interact. So that's man, right? Take note. Talks about the people. Next is the machine. When you talk about machine, let's face it, even in the production plant, we have equipments. But even inside the office, kahit sa mga bangko, you have equipment. Your computers, your laptops, your printers, those are all equipments. And we use these equipments in order to create the output, coming from the process that we manage. So equipment is any equipment, tools, or technology used in the process. This includes physical condition and how well tools are maintained. So here, sinasama na rin natin yung automation, yung system na ginagamit natin that sometimes yung pa'y nagkakos ng delay. Right? That is the machine. So after you talk about man, kalimutan nyo yung man, then talk about the machine. Lahat ng ginagamit natin, luma na ba yan? Mabagal ba yan? Right? Sometimes, I remember I have this one client, when I was asking the person, so how come you fail to respond immediately to this question or to the concern of the employees? Sir, kasi binigay sa akin desktop Right? So after office, wala akong access sa computer. So as simple as that, sometimes you get to see that there's a disruption in the process mainly because of the type of equipment or the tools of the trade that we provide to our employees. Next one is material. So what are materials? Materials are inputs and supplies. So it's different from equipment. Materials naman are inputs. It can be raw materials, component, even data or any input that is consumed and consumed by the process to be converted to a particular output. This covers the quality and specification of identified inputs, especially in production plants, right? Or even sa mga bake shop, restaurants, kung mali ang input nyo, mali yung raw materials nyo, sometimes it will give you a different yield. So that's why we want to look at that area as well. Next will be the method, right? So the method naman talks about the process, right? So the process, these are the steps, the procedures that is followed in order to complete a task that eventually will lead to the output that we provide to our customers. This covers how work is designed and documented, right? So sometimes kasi when you document process, 'di ba, you follow what is documented, and what if yung what is documented is the one that's really causing, a wrong output, right? Maybe it's the method that's a problem. I have this, I just want to share, in during my younger days, more than 2 decades ago, when I was still starting my career as an industrial engineer, one of my work, my primary work actually in one company is a methods analysis. So what do I do there? So every time there's a request for additional headcount, for additional equipment, machine, right? Additional investment on materials. Before they even go there, they will go to me and ask me, can you study the process first? Right? Because this company believes that there's a big chance that you don't need to invest on people, on machine, on even on materials if you have the right process in place. And true enough, every time that there's a request in manpower, for example, one department will say, I need 5 additional headcount kasi dumaki yung volume namin. But when we look at the process, there's a lot of improvements that we can do in the process that you don't really need additional headcount. Especially now with the age of information and technology, mas marami tayong magagawa on the process. So take note, method is all about looking for failure points in the process that is actually translating to the problem. As mentioned kanina, another one that you want to look into is measurement, right? These are the data and the metrics. Sometimes kasi even the metrics that we use are wrong, right? Sabi nga nila, if you have the wrong metrics to start with, sometimes you're measuring things in a different way. So if that's the case, sometimes yung output mo talaga, it's not aligned to what the customer is expecting, right? So this covers accuracy even on the instruments and reliability of the data used to make decisions, right? So this is the measurement part. And last, when say 6 M's, this is what we call Mother Nature or the environment or the surroundings. These are the physical and organizational conditions where work takes place. So this includes workplace design, even the layout. Sometimes it falls under method, but sometimes it also covers the environment. The climate is also another factor. I remember when I was still in a BPO years ago, when I first came in, first time ko mag BPO, kita ko lahat ng tao na when they're taking their calls, nakakumot, naka-jacket, 'di ba? Sobrang lamig. To a point na when you listen to calls, na-feel mo there's a difference, in terms of how they handle their calls. Because again, it's the environment, even the climate may affect the performance of an individual. Even during training, pag sobrang lamig yung classroom, minsan hindi na sila makafocus sa'yo, right? So if you're going to measure the training effectiveness, minsan mababa siya. Sometimes it's the environment. It's not the trainer. It's not the materials that was given. It was not the method how the training was conducted. But sometimes even sobrang lamig o sobrang init na environment can actually translate to a different results. So take note, when you do your fishbone analysis, focus on these 6 M's: the man, the machine, the materials, the methods, the measurement, and also the environment. So once you identify that, right, then it's easier for us to really check which among these contributes greatly to the real problem that we have identified. So in terms of validation, you can always go back to data, or you can do surveys. You need to ensure there's a validation point before you even conclude that this particular root cause under the machine or under the method or environment is actually really contributing to your problem. So a couple of reminders when you do your fishbone analysis. So take note, this is a brainstorming and organizational tool, right? Hindi pa ito yung solusyon, right? This is just to help you really dig deeper into the problem. It shows you all possible causes. Doesn't tell you which one is the actual root cause yet. You need to do certain validations. And this is where the 5 why approach or the tool 5 why comes in very handy. If you want to drill deeper on the actual root cause, right? This is where the 5 why will complement the fishbone analysis. The 5 why, we call this peeling the onion, no? So ito yung other words sa 5 why, peeling the onion. If you cut an onion, mapapansin nyo, no? If you cut the onion, marami siyang layers. And that's the activity of the 5 whys. You want to go to the very core, right? To the very core of the problem, right? You take a problem statement and keep asking why. Normally 5 times. Now, based on studies, if you dig deeper na 5 whys, you get to a point that you will reach something that is very actionable already. Right? So this started actually way back in the Toyota production system where they see that 5 is technically the rule of thumb. Sometimes 3 or 2 okay na, no? But sometimes you need to ask pa in a more detailed manner when you're doing your 5 whys. No? Some people think, 5 why, madali lang yan. Ask ko lang why, paulit-ulit. But actually, it takes a certain amount of skill then when you do your 5 why. We need to ask the right whys, and of course, every answer to that, you need to actually lead it to the right direction. For example, in this case, customers are complaining about late deliveries. Why are the deliveries late? Right? Of course, first layer, common sense, they're late because the orders are not being dispatched on time. Right? And why? Because the warehouse receives stocks late from the supplier. And then you ask the question again, why is the warehouse receiving stocks later from the supplier? Because suppliers has undergoing fulfillment delays. And why is that happening? Because there's no escalation or early warning system in place. And why? Because there's no performance review process that is existing, right? So you can identify this as something actionable that if you fix that, if you put a performance review process in place, then you get to little by little eliminate those escalations, those delays to a point that the problem that the customer is complaining about will be eliminated. So the reason why this 5 why is very useful, it really helps us identify the root cause. You don't need any statistical data involved, no? It's just really more of a parang ano naman na siya, behavior na siya. You don't accept the problem as is. You need to ask the question, so why is it happening? To a point that you're convinced that this is really truly the root cause, right? So this is also one of the simplest tools that you can use even without statistical analysis. So normally step 1 talaga when you try to enhance your root cause analysis capabilities, the 5 why approach is the best way to move forward, right? So here's an example, no? Another example of root cause analysis. The car broke down on the road, right? So when you see the car broke down on the road, sabi na, anak ko, may problema tayo. Ayaw umandag ng kotse, right? You have one problem, but again, it takes a while, no? If you use the 5 why approach, you might notice that there are 3 different investigative paths that you can do in one particular problem, right? Like in this case, the first chain or the first path, you might want to look at the engine. Ito yung tinatawag natin, di ba? Stratification muna tayo. Right? Maybe the problem comes from the engine, comes from the electrical component of the car, or maybe comes from the fuel. If you focus on one segment or one group, right, when you stratify this, then you have a different questioning, right? The engine overheated and seized. Maybe what's the reason why the car broke down? The engine overheated. Why did the engine overheated? The coolant level was critically low. And why is it critically low? The coolant was leaking from the crack hose. Why was the hose old and brittle with age, no, that made it crack? Because there's no scheduled inspection to check the hose condition, right? So the root cause here is different compared now if you're looking at it more on the electrical component, right? If on the electrical component, it follows a different questioning. It will lead to a different root cause. So that's why it's very important when you do your root cause analysis, try to do stratification first. Try to see where is the possible, area or grouping that you want to focus on. Because if you're going to use now the fishbone analysis and the 5 why, it will lead you to a different result if you fail to focus on a different grouping in your problem area, right? So the key insights here, now, if you look at these three different chains or possible root causes, you can have the same problem with three different fixes. You can look at root causes are always systematic in nature. Take note, you need to stop when you hit a process failure na. Right? So, if you look at all of these 5 whys, sa dulo diyan, 'di ba? You get to see something already actionable, something that is already, a failure, fully defined failure in the process. Take note, each root cause has a clear corrective action or preventive action. No? So once you identify the root cause of the problem and how you can really validate it, no? So this is the path that you normally take. From a problem, you ask the question why 5 times to a point that you reach something actionable. So quick test for you, if that is really the root cause, try to address it, no, yung root cause. Put a solution in place. And once that solution in place, would the fifth why be eliminated? Would the fourth why be eliminated to a point that the problem will be eliminated as well? So if it follows that chain, then you have the right solution. Right? So if you put a solution na address nga yung dulo, pero yung mga ibang yung chain niya it didn't follow, then that's not the real root cause or that's not the right solution, right? You need to put a solution in place to the real root cause that actually, creates a domino effect leading back to the problem that you identified to start with. So your solution applied to the root cause should create a chain reaction. So how to address a true root cause? Normally, a system disappears when you fix the root cause. That's the idea behind root cause analysis. No? So from the problem to the symptom down to the root cause, if you eliminate the root cause, the problem will disappear, the symptom would also disappear. If you fix only addresses a symptom, take note the problem will always resurface. Right? I remember one case, just to share with you. I was doing this training, and I have some, sabihin natin, yung mga participants ko, some are doctors, and they have businesses. Ang sinabi ko nga, most cases, when I go to clinics, ang pinaka-daing or complaints of customers in clinics is the long waiting time. Right? So matagal tayo maghintay, 'di ba, for our appointment, Sometimes either with the doctors or with the barber or even with the massage therapist, etc. 'Di ba? When you go to different areas, sometimes even in restaurants, matagal yung waiting time, right? In many cases, that those establishments only address the symptom. 'Di ba? Naiirita ka eh. 'Di ba? How can I lower down the irritation? Either they give free vouchers or sometimes naglalagay na lang sila ng TV. Take note, 'di ba? If you notice sa mga hospitals, ang daming TV doon, para lang makalimutan mo na naghihintay ka, right? The problem is still there, but the symptom, right? Yung feeling mo nang maiinis ka, natatagalan ka, nawawala because you're masking it, right? Either you're giving free coffee, having TV, or, 'di ba? Giving cookies or free food, but the problem still resurfaces because you're not addressing the real root cause of the problem, right? So the real root cause, you might want to look at the scheduling, right? You might want to look at the process involved in terms of the actual activity, how you can streamline or lower down the cycle time in order for you to lessen the waiting time, right? So make sure if you fix the real root cause. Multiple systems also often share a single root cause. So one fix can also eliminate several recurring issues at once. So that's why it's really good to see the connection between all of those potential root causes, when you do your 5 whys. Okay. So how do we combine now the two together, the fishbone analysis and the 5 whys, right? So the fishbone is your starting point, right? Well, technically, stratification is your step 0. Fishbone is your starting point where you don't know yet where the real root cause of the problem is coming from. Then, once the team has narrowed down the most likely suspect, then you do your drill down using the 5 why in order to really identify the real root cause of the problem. Take note, fishbone analysis gives you the width because it gives you an overview of the different categories or different areas where the problem can be coming from or the root cause is coming from, while the 5 whys gives you the depth, right? It helps you go deeper into the problem in order to identify the root cause. Okay. Take note, the fishbone analysis without the 5 whys leaves you with a list of possible causes only, but no root cause. Also, the 5 whys without the fishbone risk tunnel vision naman, where you'll drill deep into the wrong branch entirely, right? So it's like in the car problem kanina na example natin. Kung dumiretso ka kagad sa isang area, right? You end up, not really sure if you're really addressing the problem. So that is how the fishbone analysis and the 5 why can complement each other, right? Take note, the fishbone without the 5 why leaves you with a list of possible causes, but will not lead you to the real root cause. The 5 why without the fishbone naman, more on tunnel vision kayo. You drill deep, but you're not really sure which branch, right? So once you identify, I think I don't only have 3 minutes left now. Once you identify the real root cause of the problem, the next step is really come up with a solution. So your solution can either be a corrective action or a preventive action, right? So just to differentiate the two, a corrective action fixes what is already broken, right? It addresses a problem that already occurred. So normally the focus here is the root cause of the known problem. This is where we are normally reactive. When we do root cause analysis, normally reactive na yan eh. A problem has occurred already and we're trying to look for the reason and how we can avoid it happening again in the future. In the preventive action, quite similar, quite related na rin. No? It stops the problem before they even start or for a problem to start all over again. It addresses a potential problem that has not yet occurred, right? So here, ito yung when we create something that is more proactive, right? So this is where risk identification, no? So risk management, parang related siya sa concept of risk management. And one thing, no, yung concept in lean management, we call pokayoke or mistake proofing. We want to avoid the mistake from happening moving forward. So that's why it's very important when you come up with solutions, you want to check, should I put something that is more on the corrective action or should I combine it with something that is also now preventive? I can make changes in the entire process, put more control measures so that the mistake will not happen again in the future. Okay. So in summary, just to encapsulate everything that I've shared with you in terms of the concept of root cause analysis. Take note, number 1, problems are signals. These are not yet failures. So the failure normally comes from deep within the process. You need to treat root causes, not quick fixes to address the symptom, right? And it's quite unfortunate also when I do workshops, marami pa rin talaga that fall into a trap of address or implementing quick fixes, no? And putting something just to mask the symptom that the company is experiencing. Sipin lang, okay lang yan, pag-usapan lang natin 3 months from now. At least ngayon, relax na muna tayo, right? But of course, if you want sustainability, always treat the root cause. It is also advisable to use structured tools like the 5 why and the fishbone. If you want to go deeper in statistical analysis, I recommend you look at different methodologies like Six Sigma that actually offer statistical analysis to create a different story behind the data that will actually lead to a different conclusion when it comes to problem solving. Another point that I want to raise, which I failed to mention a while ago, is make sure you involve the right people when it comes to the analysis. So in root cause analysis, it's not just a structured process, but make sure you have the right people. Just imagine if you're doing a brainstorming session, tapos yung mga tao doesn't have any idea of the process or not even a customer. It's like you're doing a root cause analysis on why sale of coffee is not, your sale of your product na coffee is not actually increasing. And then you're talking to people who doesn't even drink coffee. Diba? So hindi nyo talaga sila masasolve. No? They'll just assume or somehow come up with something that they think may be the root cause of the problem but may not be leading to the right solution. Also, make sure you sustain improvements to standardization. So if you identify a root cause, you put a solution in place, make sure that you add on a solution in which you ensure mistake proofing and also standardization to ensure consistency now in the future. Take note that if you go back to your fishbone analysis, there are 6 categories, no, that can somehow interact with each other that will lead to the problem. So if you change the process, make sure you standardize it in such a way that the people, the material, the the equipment, the machine, and also even the measurement will somehow be standardized in order to complement the process. Okay. So what are the next steps after this? Right. I recommend, right, just to check lang your what you've learned today, apply RCA to your next issue within the next 24 to 48 hours. So if you can experience an issue in the workplace, a problem, try to stop first. Try to stratify the problem. Well, to start, try to measure the problem, try to stratify it, then you do your root cause analysis using fishbone analysis and root cause analysis and 5 whys. Try it in the first problem that you encounter in the next 24 to 48 hours. You challenge quick fixes as well. Ask why 5 times. So if somebody recommends a solution to you or maybe tells you a problem, right? Or maybe somebody is absent, somebody is late. Try to practice. Ask why 5 times, and you get to see a different story, a different picture about the problem. Also, I encourage everybody to share the learnings across your teams to establish alignment in handling problems in the workplace. Hindi pwedeng kayo lang na nag-iisip ng 5 whys. Hindi lang kayo ang naghahanap lagi ng root cause. You have to share this and tell them, guys, moving forward, for us to really address a problem and ensure long-term solution, root cause muna tayo. So if somebody goes to you with a problem and gives you kaagad a solution, you need to ask yourself, what root cause are you addressing with this solution? And believe me, with that kind of a language, that kind of instruction, it will really change the culture in your organization on how you treat problems and how to address root cause. Okay, so with that, thank you very much. And like to say thank you for this time, although it's such a short time. No, normally root cause analysis, we can do 3 days just to focus on different tools on how to dig deep into the problem. But I hope this very basic, I would say, understanding and behavior, in terms of addressing problems, using these 2 key tools, can already help you or change your mindset on how to approach problems. Okay, thank you very much again, and again, back to our host.
And yes, now we are open for questions. So type your questions in the chat box. Let us know your questions so that we can read them. I have here one question already, Sir Mike.
Yeah.
This one is sent by our Zoom participant, Caris Faye. It's kind of long, so let me read this. In product quality and productivity, root cause analysis heavily leverages Deming's 85-15 rule, treating operator errors as symptoms of a flawed system rather than individual failures. However, in workplace safety, many organizations are still culturally anchored to Heinrich domino theory, which attributes 88% of incidents to individuals' unsafe acts. Given that a systemic failure mode can simultaneously manifest as a quality defect, a production bottleneck, or a safety incident, how can we utilize quality RCA methodologies like the 5 whys or fishbone analysis to reframe Heinrich unsafe acts as downstream systemic failures?
Yeah, I think it was mentioned already. If you look at the context, when it comes to this methodology that he mentioned, like I think it's the Heinrich domino theory, right? So ang pinaka-focus niyan, there's a lot actually in that domino theory, So ang pinaka-laging natututukan dyan is the unsafe acts. By the term acts, it's still leverage on the process. So I always believe that when it comes to unsafe acts, definitely it's the person, that's doing it. But if the process is very much wide open, for these unsafe acts to happen, and without proper control measures, definitely it's still a process issue for me. Right? So babalik ulit tayo sa 85-15 rule, So when you talk about fishbone analysis, yes, you can ask the question, so why? Now 5 questions of why. Why is there, a lot of unsafe acts that's happening within the workplace? So we can still apply it. Actually, it's the same thing that we can do. It goes back to that same question. When you say unsafe acts, let's try to expound it further, right? Let's try to quantify it. And it follows the same process. Unsafe acts, where does it fall under? Baka naman in the whole, for example, in the construction, di ba? Unsafe acts normally happen in one particular portion lang of the construction. Then we'll drill deeper, why is it happening? Again, it goes back to that 85-15 rule. No? So it still follows the same thing. Just so happened that this model, it pinpoints, no, especially on the safety in the workplace, the unsafe acts. And I do believe by the term acts, it's still a process issue to start with. No, we can always come up with a process that will keep everybody safe, have the process, lead towards a safe output to the operator, right? And the operator have no choice but, of course, deliver, an output that is very positive in nature.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Sir Mike. Let me just remind all of our participants, whether you're here in Zoom or joining us via the live stream, the link for the feedback form is already in the chat box in the comment section also. So just click that link, fill out the form, and then make sure that you submit it back to us. This will really ensure that you will receive your e-certificate, okay? So I'll move to the next question. This one was sent to me privately, so I will treat it as an anonymous question. Here it is. How can AI improve root cause analysis processes? And what are the limitations of AI in RCA?
Okay, so it's a good question actually, no. Because I did that before. I have this one client that they're heavy already on AI. They use either Copilot, Gemini, or even Claude, no. And I've tried all of this AI tool, and I'm surprised actually. They give you a lot of insights. For example, you put there what is the potential root cause of wrong deliveries in my e-commerce business. So they will give you a lot of potential root causes. But of course, at the end of the day, right, these are only suggestions and ideas, right, that can help you jumpstart your thinking process. But in terms of root cause analysis, you need to go back to your experience in the workplace. Kasi ang AI hindi naman niya malaman malamig sa ano nyo, sa office nyo. Hindi man na malalaman ng AI yung ugali ng mga tao sa office nyo. He will just assume, right? But in terms of the actual fishbone analysis and brainstorming within the group, right? Within key people in your organization, lalabas yun eh. There's still a lot of things that AI doesn't know because he or will it only benchmark on what is in the internet, right? What is on the database that they are actually extrapolating from and analyzing, right? Yes, it can be used, makakatulong siya, pero we did that before. One participant of mine use AI in developing the fishbone analysis. Sabi niya, can you do a fishbone analysis on this problem? Talagang nalo sa naguluhan, to be honest. No? Kasi there's a lot of things there that's not really applicable to the business. Diba? Kayo lang makakaalam nun. So, let's not do shortcuts, right? At this point in time, let's focus first really on what's really happening in the workplace. Sometimes nandun yun eh, right? AI can be used maybe for reinforcement when it comes to putting it in the proper design, proper siguro format when it comes to the reporting, but the input should still come from individuals who is part of the process.
There you go. Thank you so much for that. I'll move to the next question. This time it's from our Zoom participant, Robert James. Can predictive models help us anticipate problems before they require root cause analysis?
Well, so that's there are two sides there, no? Yung predictive analysis. When you do predictive analysis, no, that's regression modeling, no? You do regression analysis. And normally regression analysis comes from correlation analysis, right? So I didn't talk about correlation and causation, no? Correlation, by the way, is comparing two metrics and seeing if they have the same behavior. But that doesn't necessarily mean one is causing the other. So magkaiba sila, no? Predictive modeling is all about forecasting what can be a certain output. Root cause analysis naman talks about the contributory factor leading towards a given problem. No? So medyo magkaibang topic of discussion ang predictive modeling and root cause analysis. No? Root cause analysis talks about causation, while predictive analysis normally comes from correlation, right? Correlation of variables. So it's really a long discussion, but siguro to connect the two, right? If you see maybe an output in terms of your predictive modeling na it doesn't really reflect the output that you expect, then you can do root cause analysis. Identify what's causing that output. And then you can deal deeper. So you can complement both actually.
Thank you so much. I'll move to our next question. This one. What are the most common mistakes that an organization can make when they are performing RCA for the first time?
Common mistake is they always go to the solution, right? So marami dyan when they do root cause analysis, sabi nila, lack of benefits, lack of tools, lack of training. So all pertains to the solution already. Yun yung common failure, no, when people do root cause analysis. Ang naisip lang kung ano yung wala. So ibig sabihin when I ask a question, so kung pag nilagay ko ba yung wala, tapos na problema. So you already have a bias on the solution eh. Root cause analysis, you have to dig deeper on the process, what's going on, what's not being done, etc. And then you'll never know. Training is never the solution. Automation. Yung iba sinasabi, one of the root cause is manual process, di ba? O kaya lack of automation in our processes, di ba? When you say lack of automation, you're already telling the solution. But you'll be surprised sometimes it's not the automation that's actually your key solution. Maybe the compliance, right? Or maybe meron kaming isang case, no, lumalabas is the reason why a person is not performing this job on high quality because when you look at the job description, wala yun sa job description niya. Feeling lang niya, tagapasa lang siya. No? So quality was not being owned by that person. So the solution, it's not automating the process, but actually going back to the job description and the KPI. So i-revise mo yung job description and KPI, mag-iiba yung behavior ng tao, masusupport na ngayon yung process, right? So I think that's where we need to look at that angle.
Okay, thank you for that. Next question this time it's from John. Can you recommend other reading materials that can help in RCA, quality control, and systems management?
Reading materials, actually there's a lot, no? I would suggest just Google it, no? There's really a lot. It really depends on the industry, the type of methodology that you're going to use. Ako kasi more of a Six Sigma practitioner ako eh. So I can always recommend Six Sigma books, right? That you can read through. There's a lot actually in the market. Just type Six Sigma books. Maraming version yan. But it follows the same stories, the same methodologies, no? So different types of examples on how you will attack it. It follows the same thing, There's a lot also when you look at TQM, systems thinking is also one. So it really depends on the type of methodology you're trying to use.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Okay, how do we distinguish between a true root cause and a comfortable cause that fits our biases or organizational narratives?
Okay. When
Yes.
by the term true root cause, that means yun talagang root cause ng problem, di ba? So I think yung iba kasi, when they do root cause analysis, it's hard to accept, no? May some companies that especially if it's coming from tradition, no, yung kunyari, tagal na kami sa kumpanya, tagal naman ang ginagamit to, o tradisyon na namin gawin to, diba, ganitong proseso. So they don't want to let go. They're always justifying, no? Because they're more comfortable doing it eh. Pero yung say true root cause, I mean, sometimes it stems to kasi, yung concept of operational excellence eh. Root cause analysis is one methodology tuned under the concept of operational excellence. So it's really more of the culture. If you want to set a culture of operational excellence, people needs to accept that whatever the identified true root cause is, we need to address it because at the end of the day, it's all about making our customers happy. Now, it's not simply making us happy or what is more convenient to us, but it's what really will translate to a higher happiness level of our customers.
Okay, thank you. Another question, this time it's from John Cabrera.
Mhm.
What's the suggested verification of effectiveness for corrective actions?
Corrective actions is, I guess, mentioned when you say corrective actions is really addressing the root cause. No? So validating that, of course, you go back to data. So try to gather data related to the identified true root cause and try to validate. No? And how, once you address the root cause, how it will impact the metrics that you're trying to improve, right? So go back to the data, go back to the numbers that can actually validate your root cause and the corrective action that will somehow lead towards an improvement of a particular metric or maybe a standardization of a particular process.
Okay, let me read the next question. How would you handle unresolved causes despite having a root cause analysis within the team?
I'm sorry, what can you give the question again?
And how will you handle unresolved? I think this should not be cause unresolved issues despite having a root cause analysis within the team.
I think ano na yan, it's a question of leadership na. So it's more of the leadership. Ibang ano naman yan, ibang competency ng pag-uusapan natin. No? So leadership competencies now also includes your span of influence. So when you identify a root cause, you as a leader, no, it's how you actually share it with your people and convince them, right, that we need to address this in order to go on that next level in our business and also improvement of our KPI. So since you mentioned in your question, identify naman yung root cause. So it's really more of the leadership now on how to, translate that and use that in terms of decision making.
Understood. Okay, this one I think because some of us are working remotely. So here's the question: what are the processes that we can use or take if the people that we are handling are far from us?
Far from us. When you say far physically ba yan?
Basically, working remotely.
Okay. Again, I don't always believe communication is the number one thing, no, regardless of your location. So kahit naman kayo working remotely, if you have a rigor in terms of communication, you communicate regularly, you can still build relationships. Di ba? Parang personal yan, di ba? Kahit sinasabi na, dati kasi pag long distance, di ba? Yung LDR, mahirap kasi either yung iba, yung kapanuhonan pa ng yung mga parents natin, papadala ka ng cassette with your voice recording or letter, and it will take time, no? For the communication really to happen. But right now with technology, mabilis na right? It's like you're beside me. Like in this case, no, in our training, no, location is not a factor anymore. So communication is very important, no? So there's so many tools right now, technology that we can use in order for communication to happen. And when there's communication, there will be collaboration. And if there's collaboration, relationship will be better in the organization. Right?
Thank you so much for that. We have a few more questions here in Zoom, so let me also read them. Okay, this one's from J Mark. Is it possible to have more than one root cause?
Yes. Yes, can be one root cause. That can be more. So I'll give you an example. No, we did if you study a higher level of statistical analysis. No, meron kami tinatawag na design of experiments. That's a different approach in process design. No, when you do that, let's say for example, no, we did this exercise. Parang yung plant, for example, a plant lang, no. If you want to plant your plant to grow, no, yung mataas, lengthwise, no. What are the factors that involves the growth of the plant, no? So for example, yung plant mo hindi lumalaki, hindi to nagbo-bloom. What are the different root causes, no? It can be caused by the sunlight. It can be lack of sunlight. It can be caused by the type of soil, maybe the frequency of the water, or maybe even the type of water that you put in your plant, or even the type of fertilizer, right? So when you talk about the root cause, what's limiting the growth of your plant, it can be a portion of the soil mixed with the water, the quantity of water. Kasi alam ko yung ibang plants, pag pinuno mo ng tubig or you water it every day, namamatay lalo But while some plants, you water it maybe once a week lang, mas mabubuhay sila, no? So it can be a factor of the sun, exposure to the sun, the water, even the type of soil, and even the type of fertilizer. So with that example, that only shows that sometimes when you dig deeper, pwedeng iba-ibang root cause with different percentage and contribution to the actual output or the actual problem. So again, that's more of a different approach, no, in statistical analysis, or in which you can really see, what's really contributing. Parang doctor yan, di ba? Kaya nga tayo minsan nagpapa-check ng blood, nag-ECG, etc. Because sometimes it's a combination, no? Because of our low blood, nahihirapan yung heart natin, for example, or nagka-high blood, nahihirapan yung heart. So, nagkakaroon na siya ng combination. So, to give, of course, answer to your question, yes. No? You can have multiple root causes with different degree of contribution to the main problem.
Okay, thank you. That was very helpful.
Hmm?
Next question. This one is from Margie. How do we avoid blame during RCA?
Okay. Okay. So that's why maganda nga, go back to the 85-15 rule, right? Focus more on the process, right? Kaya nga yung fishbone analysis, if you look at the 6 elements, wala kang mapinipinpoint na tao eh. Right? Even on the man itself, ang sabi doon, characteristics lang eh. You're not saying a person. You're talking about the capability of the person or the group, right? And also their background. And then, of course, subject for validation pa naman yan eh. I haven't experienced na root cause analysis pagdating sa man, sasabihin mo, ang root cause natin si sir. Hindi eh. You go back to the process first eh. Maybe long approval process because maybe busy yung mga leaders natin. They're always in a meeting. So, nagpo-focus ka pa rin, again, focus more on the process and also the characteristics rather than the particular person. That will eliminate, of course, bias already.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this one, this question of Vilma, I have seen several similar questions. So I will just read the question of Miss Vilma. The 5 whys and the fishbone diagram both help get the root of a problem, but how do they work in different ways? How to choose the right one for a specific situation?
Okay, so I think binigay ko na kanina yung differentiator between the two, no? So they
how do
should complement each
choose?
other. Actually, I mean, the 5Y, pag yan lang ang ginamit mo, kulang sa more lesser context, no? Yung width mo in terms of looking at the problem on its horizon, mas lessen. Although 5Y kasi is more on the depth component, no? You want to dig deeper. So I would recommend, no, you that's why we introduce the two together because they should complement each other. Right? 5Y is okay. Siguro when you do your ako kasi ginagamit ko yung 5 Ys, no? For example, if I do performance management, no? Kunyari, laging late, no? Habitual tardiness, that's the problem, no? So some people will use 5 Ys. Why are you always late? Diba? Up to the 5th Y. But before you even do that, may parang fishbone analysis ka na sa utak eh. You segment it first eh. You stratify it first eh. You ask about the man, diba? You ask about the method, diba? Paano ka pumapasok sa office. So para ka na rin nag-fishbone analysis sa mind mo eh. Diba? Paano ka pupunta sa office? Sino ba kasama mo sa bahay? Diba? Magugulat ka. Baka naman ang pinakagot cause eh 10 sila sa bahay, isa lang ang banyo. Kaya ang pila sa umaga mahaba kasi nasa dormitory siya, for example, di ba? So you will never know. So again, to answer your question, it's hard to separate the two. I would say yung fishbone analysis, even though you're not using the actual fishbone, the mindset, how you categorize or how you stratify the problem at hand before you even asking the 5 why, no? That should complement each other. That should not be taken away as two separate things.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Let me follow it up with this question from Richard. How about if we detected 3 root cause detected on fishbone? So we need to do 3 5Y analysis. That's just a clarification.
Yeah, I mean, if it's on the first layer root cause, again, the purpose of the 5Y is to look for the real root cause. Yung pinakadulo talaga. Right? Sometimes kasi the root cause is still a symptom eh. So that can be further validated if you do the 5 whys. Right? So yeah, I think no harm in doing the 5 whys and all of those 3 identify potential root causes as long as it will lead you to a much deeper understanding on where the problem is coming from. Huwag natin tipirin yung oras, di ba? Huwag natin tipirin. I mean, if you can still do the 5 why not? It's just simple asking the question why 5 times. Why stop there, di ba? If our objective is to identify a root cause and a solution that is more sustainable.
Okay, next question. Sir, how do I know if I have found the real root cause and not just a symptom?
Okay, if it's already actionable, that's normally the rule of thumb, no? So kung nandun ka na sa dulo, number 1, di mo na matanong yung why, nandun ka na sa dulo na parang if it's something na you can put action already, no? And wala ka nang mapilit na why. Kasi yung 5 why naman minsan sa 3rd why, 4th why okay ka na eh. right? Wag mong pipilitin sa fifth why. So that's normally the case. No? If you reach something that's already actionable, right? Then at least you can validate that you already achieved the fifth why already. And again, you go back to that if you address it, will it address ang importante dyan yung solution Will it create a chain reaction to eliminate those 4 other layers of whys and root causes? Right? That leads to the elimination of the problem. Yun ang mas importante doon.
Okay, because of that answer, this next question is somehow connected when using the 5 whys. And we have reached more than 5 whys already. When do we stop asking why?
Okay. Masyado tayong nagiging technical on the how many whys, no? Again, what matters is not just simply the quantity but the type of question. Parang kanina yung example ko yung tatlo, no? If you ask the wrong question, it will lead you to a different pathway of your questioning na why, no? Kaya yung mga iba nagtataka sila, bakit 10 why na? Ang dami ko pa ring why na tinatanong. Maybe you're going in the wrong direction, right? So, doing 5 why, it takes practice. I was talking to my son, no, kanina rin. Yesterday, when he was seeing me, no, creating the deck, sabi niya, IE din kasi industrial engineering. Alam mo ba kami yung 5 why topic lang, it took us, I think, a couple of days for us to really, get it Yung how do we really provide the right questions, no? So that's why yung 5 why, it's not an overnight thing. That's why you need to practice. I think it's really more, ang pinaka-idea lang naman on the 5 why is that don't just be satisfied on the problem at hand and come up with a solution immediately. Try to ask question why, because sometimes asking the first why, you'll make your mind more curious on what's really causing the problem. That will lead you to another why. Right? And then lead you to another why and lead you to another. Huwag kayong magbibilang kung ilang why. Just ask the question why until you're satisfied with the last answer that will make you convinced itong gawin natin. If we fix this, mawawala ba tong 4 na otherwise na tinanong ko? Okay.
Thank you. Here's another question. This one is asking for your point of view. What was your biggest challenge that you faced during a root cause analysis?
Challenge. The biggest challenge normally in root cause analysis is the data, right? So validating the root cause. Sometimes kasi when you do your fishbone analysis, lahat yan kasi based either on experience and based on yung inputs lang of the people involved during the brainstorming session. So the next challenge there is how to validate it. Sometimes kasi yung sinasabi lang root cause of the problem, minsan lang nila na experience. And I've seen that, no? Yung bang pag tinanong mo, if try to investigate further, kailan ba nangyari to? Sir, 3 years ago pa yan. Naalala ko lang. So 3 years ago pa yung possible root cause or naging problem na sinasabi niya. Pero hindi sa maka-move on, sinasabi niya that can be a potential cause but it's not really happening. So the biggest challenge is validating. Especially for companies who wala silang habit of maintaining numbers or having KPIs or monitoring metrics. Kaya sa mga call center, mabilis mag-analyze kasi nga maraming data dyan and some other companies. But if you're doing a root cause analysis and your company, hindi kayo heavy on data, medyo mahirap tayo mag-validate. You're just basing it on votes, no? Sabihin mo, oo, ako rin na-experience ko yan. So, basing on the number of votes, so that doesn't really guarantee kaagad na that's really the root cause. Can be a root cause, but again, gathering the data.
Okay, thank you. Few more questions here. I think we're down to our last 2. I'm not seeing any other questions anymore. This one is from Almin. What is the best first step when starting an RCA?
I think I mentioned na nga in my training, no? Number 1 is identifying the problem. Right? Making sure when you talk about problems, iba ang symptoms sa problem di ba? Pag inuubo ka, hindi naman 'yun ang problema di ba? It's just a symptom So you need to identify first the problem and make sure the problem is measurable. So once you define a real problem, you already address 50% of your solution. Right? Yun yung sinasabi nila, no? So pero pag more on hearsay lang, for example, hindi ko masaya yung mga tao, right? Or yung mga employees daw nagrereklamo. Those are all symptoms, no? You still need to validate it to convert it to a real problem. Right? When you say nagrereklamo, Ano ibig sabihin nun? Nag-resign ba sila? 50% of our workforce are resigning. That's a problem, right? To start with. No? And then you identify the root cause. Pero pag sinabi mo lang, ang dami ko nakita mga nakasimangot, those are just symptoms. Di ba? So step one in root cause analysis, define the problem above anything else. And it's easier now to waterfall it to root cause analysis.
Okay. Meron pang humabol na question
Mm-mm.
this time. It's from Richard. Sir, how about recurring issues? Last time we already solved by answering 4 whys, but the problem reoccurred for some time. Can I still use 4 ideas plus 1 answer, final solution to make the new RCA?
Yeah. Well, to start, if the problem arises again, that means you didn't, either one, you didn't identify, address the real root cause. Second, you may identify the real root cause, but you didn't put the right solution. Kasi a solution, take note, should also have control measures in place to ensure sustainability para hindi na mangyari ulit. No? So dalawa yung trick dyan identifying the real root cause and also identifying the right solution and make sure you control it afterwards. No? Hindi lang basta implement mo tapos pinabayaan mo na. So you need to have control measures to ensure magkakaroon ng consistency when it comes to your quality output. Right? And with this question, can you do RCA again? Yes, of course. As long as there's a problem identified, you can always use your root cause analysis. Right? Again, root cause analysis is just a process to address a problem. Right? So as long as there's a problem, you can always do root cause analysis.
Okay, and this is the last question. Is this a one-person task or does it require a team?
Okay. In say root cause analysis, again, it depends. I would say, always naman, I would say in any workplace, right, a problem to be solved, a project to be implemented, there's always a team involved. Kasi everything that you're doing has an interconnection with all other processes and all other departments and all other people. So it is highly recommended, of course, you work with a team. People that are involved in the process, people that are connected, that can contribute, right? On the other hand naman, may mga iba na they rely on data. But still, if you get data, you still need help from IT, still need help from the process owner. So maybe to answer your question directly, yes, you need people. You need to collaborate, you need to coordinate. Because once you identify also a solution, if you do it alone, mawawala ng acceptance. Mahirapan ka sa change implementation because people were not involved to start with when it comes to validating the problem and really validating the root cause and even coming up with a solution. So best talaga always a group work for any problem solving in the workplace.
Noted, sir. Thank you so much, Sir Mike. Again, let me remind all of our participants, whether you're here in the live stream or in Zoom, please make sure you fill out the feedback form so that you will really receive your e-certificate. And speaking of certificates, we would like to show our appreciation to our speaker by presenting him with a certificate as well. So let me read it. With Sir Mike Gonzalez. Thank you so much, Sir Mike. But we are not yet done because we would like to have a photo with all of our participants. So if they're able to turn on their cameras, please do so. Turn on your videos, please. Join us in this group
All
photo.
500 people. Wala na,
Yes.
300 lang.
So join us,
There you
please.
go.
And let me call on our technical director, Direct Jello, to help us out.
Okay, yes. Thank you so much, Miss Kate. So, good day to everyone. We're taking 2 shots of group photo for this PM session. Okay, for our first shot, can you show me 2 thumbs up? How about 2 thumbs up, everyone? Okay, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Okay, for our final shot, can you show me your finger hearts or hand hearts? Okay, show some love in 3, 2, 1. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day. Back to you, Miss Kate.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much to all of our participants. For those of you who are asking about our other learning events, you can visit our website ariva.com.ph so that you can check them out, read about them, and also register online as early as now. The link also for the feedback form is here in the chat box. You might just have to scroll up a bit so that you can access the link for the feedback form, and that will also ensure that you will receive your e-certificate. Again, to all of our participants from Ariva Academy, thank you so much for being with us on this terrific Tuesday afternoon. We are really looking forward to welcoming you again in our future learning events. God bless you all, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Academy would like to thank the following win-win partners. Official media partners. Zoe Broadcasting Network. Give love, celebrate life. A to Z. Kompleto tayo. Light TV. God's channel of blessings. Light TV Radio. DZJV. Business Mirror. A broader look at today's business. Manila Standard. Defining the news. Digital Media Partners. Globaltronics, leading digital innovation. City Advertising Ventures Corporation, we move your brand. Outcome, Elevate Media. Ariva Academy would also like to thank the following companies. Craving something real? We serve it. Burger King. Top Healthy Chicharron, the healthiest chicharron on the planet. Yummiest cashew nuts. Lotus Biscoff. Daily Fix. YA's Corporation. Purple Rockstar. Be on top, stay on top. Sun Life, helping clients achieve lifetime financial security and live healthier lives. Mighty Tech Advertising and Merchandising. Le Jardin Printing Services. Creative Voices, Certified Voice Artist Program. Queen Bee Waxing Salon, where smooth skin begins. Nails.glow, your self-care partner. Samaras Farm and Resort.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, oh. I can feel happy now.
Recording